So, what's going on, everyone? Out walking around. I'm hoping I don't lose my connection. But, as you can see, written right there, the topic for today is the meaning of the word culture. And I feel it's about time that I actually address this word to give you guys what the actual word of the meaning culture is. And I'm saying this because in today's day and age, in today's young people coming up, they're throwing around the word culture too much, especially in the hip-hop era. And if you don't know what the word culture means, then you should look it up. And I'm going to tell you exactly what the word culture stands for, what it means, where it comes from, and breaking down certain parts of, especially the word culture vulture. And I'm going to try to not make it sound like it's everywhere like word shit, even though I do jump from one point to the next, but I always try to tie it in together. So the meaning of the word culture. Let me ask you this. A lot of you go to church. Now, a lot of you know that I don't consider myself a man of God. I'm spiritual. Again, I had several awoke moments in my life, and the last one I had really scared the hell out of me, which made me open up to different things, different meanings, and why I don't believe in the word of the Bible that has been rewritten 10 times by 10 to 11 different people and different origin stories of different things, why I don't go to church. So again, I don't consider myself a man of God. I am more spiritual than anything. So, I just want to point that out right now. But a lot of you go to church, right? I think, in this town, it's a Christian community. There are some Jewish churches, but it's really a Christian community. And you should already know, and one thing about the Bible that hasn't changed is the word and the meaning of the word culture. To me, that's the only thing that has not changed, is the meaning of the word culture in the Bible. Today's young people, their gimmick is being emo, gothic, devil worshippers, but they do that for attention, to try to get into some kind of industry. And a lot of you go to church. A lot of you were raised on church that do that. So you know what the word culture means, but you're taking it and throwing it around too much to where you don't know what it means. And I'm going to actually tell those that want to watch this video, and this will be uploaded to my Political Awoke channel, which is Sedentary931. Let's go ahead and get into it. The meaning of the word culture. One, it has nothing at all to do with a specific brand or a title or a name. So let's not throw it around in hip-hop, for one. Okay, hip-hop is not a culture. Hip-hop is a brand, for one. The word hip-hop is a trend in terms of a fad. Okay, so there's that. So hip-hop is not a culture. Now, a lot of the moves that a lot of the young people are doing today, and even back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, came from Africa. The sound of hip-hop came from Jamaica. A lot of that goes into religion. Now, the word culture has something to do with religion. religion. Okay? We all know what religion is. So it goes into religion. It goes into you as a stranger going into a village or a community. You're seeing another people's culture, how they live, their beliefs, which is spirituality, religion, which is faith, how they grow their food, which is cropping or farming, and going into their way of life, right? Going back, music, the sound of their music goes into culture in terms of special events, of celebrations, births, or funerals, even holidays, depending on what group of people you go see or visit, even all across the world. The dances that they do are ritual dances, which goes into culture. Again, their sound and how they dance. Culture has nothing to do, again, with fashion or hip hop. Again, hip hop is a brand. Hip hop is what did I say it was? A fad. Okay? It is that's really what it is. It's a trend. That's what hip hop is. Hip hop is not culture. There's no culture in hip hop because we have no essence. We have no leaderships. We have no, we have no religion. We have no beliefs. We don't have a way of showing how to make some money outside of music. We don't have that. We put it in, we throw the word culture in hip hop because we see a lot of the so-called leaders, a lot of the people who we idolize, who are false idols, who we make them into false gods. So you go into, that's not culture. We're making it into a place of, we want to make hip hop a culture. Well, we can't. Like I said, it's not a culture. It's a brand, it's a fad, and it's a trend. It's not a community. It's not a village. And again, we take the word culture, just like we take hip hop, and we want to put two and one. The problem is with that, if we really wanted to make hip-hop a culture, this is things that we would have to do. One, let's steer away from the talk of money. Let's steer away in the talk of fashion, and let's stop making leaders false prophets. If we wanted to make it a culture, we have to stop those things. In order for hip-hop to actually have order and to be considered part of the culture, in order to consider having it be part of beliefs and religion, one, we have to have a way of life to show people, hey, it's not all bad. Now, does it have its own way of life? Yeah, sadly, within the negative manner which we all know of. And what goes into that. If we want to do that, we would have to literally come together. Right? We would actually have to come out with truth along with that. A lot of these fights that do go on, a lot of it's industry bullshit. Sometimes it does escalate into the streets and become much more. But we need to come together and expose the truth. And everyone in the industry really don't care for each other. And a lot of you say, well, if they don't care if they don't care like each other, then why do they work together? Simple, because one person can actually help you get out there more than by yourself. I remember one year, it was during one of the hip hop awards, and there was reports of a lot of fights amongst entertainers. A lot. You had 50 Cent's group beat the shit out of Rick Ross's group. You have Rick Ross fighting Jeezy. You actually had P. Diddy or Puffy and K. Wiz get into it. There's just so many reports, so many fights during that award show that it showed that a lot of people don't care for each other. You know, look at Baby and Wayne, for example. You know, I may not care for neither of those guys, but, you know, they show even the longest of relationships have issues behind closed door. So we again need to come out with truth. Then we need to come with rules, you know, which are boundaries. We need to stop, again, making the leaders false idols and to actually bring the people who actually want to bring religion into hip-hop, which is I think the 7 or 5% Nation. You know, do your research on them. You know, they originated from New York, so do your research upon them. I'm not going to get too much into that, but you know, you have the Nation. You know, the 7-5% Nation, along with for somebody else, I kind of forget, but you know, we have that. You know, let them say, hey, this is believed. This is terms of what we need here in religion, in terms of going into the world of hip-hop, if you want to make it really part of the word culture. Okay? Next, we need to take out the people that want to ruin it for everyone else. Now, and there's a lot of bad apples. There's a lot of bad apples, and they need to go to where you can actually get banned and not come back to kind of like a religion. Once you leave it, once you do something to get banned from it, you really can't come back. Or just like you kick out somebody back in the days in terms of being within a village or a community, or even in the Western days of terms of you need to leave out of town. So we need to do that. Then we need to take those that actually make money that outside of hip-hop who do it very well. And I'm actually taking Jay-Z out on SoundCloud monetization. And what I broke down along with that, he abandons a lot of his stuff, is why you see a lot of complaints, a lot of him getting lawsuits. So I no longer look like a good business person because there's too many problems with him with the business that I noticed. So much money, but you also have to show how good of a business person you are. So let's take out those that have too many problems of pretending to be business people. And let's take those that know how to make actual money outside of the music industry, because there is no money in music. Keep it real. Take them, have them be teachers. Say, hey, this is how you make this much money. Once everything comes together, once all that happens and comes together, then it can be part of culture. You know, would stop the flexing. Let's take these young people now who are in it, and they really need somebody to lead them. They need teachers in it. You know, if you want to be saved, in terms, when I mean saved, you know how you would ask Christ for forgiveness. Let's kind of bring it like that, but let it be into, again, the religion aspect of it with the percent nations that are in hip-hop and that want to bring it into positive, bring it into culture, but because we have so many bad apples, it ruins it. So, What I'm explaining is really what culture is and why we should stop throwing it around in hip hop. Now, the next part I want to explain to reconnect, the next thing I want to go into is the word culture vulture. Do you know what the culture vulture is? A culture vulture, a good best example, and I know a lot of people are going to hate me for it, but it's out there, it's in front of our face. It's Drake. It's even us in hip hop as well. To where an example is this. A lot of the songs, a lot of the dance moves Drake does actually is stole from people from a town, places he visits, people who show him around, talk to him, introduce, and say, hey, this is our way of life and our beliefs. And then once he sees that, he does take it, and then he claims to be whatever he takes. Like the white man, right? And I don't say that to be racist. I say that to go back into the days of when Columbus came to America. And over time, if you guys look on the internet, we know the first group of people that got invaded were the Indians, along with Africans who are also natives. The white man really stole the actual culture, became culture vultures in terms of the way of talk, living, the way of surviving, cropping, fashion, religion, beliefs, buying out land to where there's no more reservations left, and then mocking it and throwing it in those people's faces. That is being a culture vulture. That is being a culture vulture. So that's being a culture vulture, and then also claiming to be something that you're not. Now, yeah, there are a lot of mixed races out there, so no one's really a percentage of anything because we're all mixed. Drake is not black. Drake is white. His mom's white. Okay, she worked for television Disney for years on end. That's how he became on television. His father isn't black. I don't know what the fuck his father is, but sure in the hell ain't black. But his father was a famous singer. So Drake was born with a silver spoon in his mouth, per se. That's an old terms of being born with money in your pockets. And Drake is sadly an example of being a culture vulture. So there's that. Going in again, I know a lot of people, what about people who are mixed? Let me explain something to you. We're all mixed. We're all mixed. Nobody's really a percentage of anything. I'm going to give you guys an example. Those that know me know that I'm mixed heavily. I'm part Native American, which is Cherokee, the biggest group. Part, half South African, right? Jamaican, Egyptian, okay, and Italian. And the black community, the reason why we're so much attracted to, us in the black community, have you ever wondered why we're so attracted to the Asian culture and being attracted to Native American stuff? It is because history has lied to you. Because we had 3 different groups of people: the natives, Africans, and the Asians, or the Chinese. Asian and Chinese are really the same thing. believe it or not. So we had those three groups of people. We were slaves. We actually mixed and mated with each other. And that's how, when that happened, when somebody would give birth, you would have to actually hide that mixed child. And if you couldn't, yes, the child would be taken away to you and be put into slavery. Because even if you're part black and part Asian and still part of native, to them you're still a slave back in those days. So that's why we're so attracted to the Asian and the Indian culture, and why we're so attracted to anime the way we are is because a lot of us in the community actually have some Asian in us. Because our ancestors, again, all came here so many years ago. I'm dead serious. That's something that history's not going to tell you. And the reason why they call us colored people. Michael Jackson explained it better. Why they call us colored people? Because we come in all colors. From black as tar to light as paper. Take a look at my skin tone. That's why they call us colored people, because our skin is so many different colors, even though we still have hair like wool. Okay? And where our true religions come from is in the deep roots of Africa, in Jamaica, the Asians, and Indians. And why you see a lot of people go into, not a lot of people, in terms of black community, we all go into the religion of Arabics. We're not Arabic people. I know that's one thing they try to push on us, and the false community, false prophets, false leaders. I say, you guys are from the Arabic religion. No, we're not. We're from the Recentive Nation religion that comes from Africa, Jamaica, natives, and Asians. Arabics are people like Aladdin or like Saddam Hussein. Them are Arabics. We're not them. They believe in committing suicide and cooning too much. Our people are more spiritual, to where we go into the religion of Buddhism. Okay? That is us. So that also has something to do with culture as well. And I'm just like a lot of people who, I know a lot of us get mad in the black community, especially in hip hop, where we see Latinos or Mexicans like Lil Pump, or 6ix9ine, throw around, certain words.
We'll go ahead and
Why we get mad at that? We shouldn't get mad. Because, believe it or not, during, I don't want to say the Pilgrim ages of Columbus, but it's a little bit after Columbus, going into the medieval times, going to the, even going back in terms of ancient lions, and especially during the Western era, even the 70s, especially during the 60s as well. They were also brought to this country, by force. A lot of the Latinos, Mexicans were brought to this country by force, and they were also slaves. But they got mistreated for speaking a language that that no one understood then. So that's why some kind of, I forget what battle it was, but it was a battle with Mexico and Texas at the time. And, we started mating amongst each other. Even before Columbus, you had, Mexico mixed with Africa at times. So they each traveled, but you don't hear about that. So a lot of the people within Mexico, reason why they throw around, the N-word a lot is because, they are now considered part black because it's very heavily mixed down there. If you go down to Mexico, it's like the next Africa. So we really shouldn't get upset because it goes back. But the problem is, with the Latino community and the black community, we just don't like each other for whatever reason. I know a lot of it has to go with gang-related shit. But the thing is, our ancestors mated with each other. And so a lot and now years later, when you hear about Lil Pump and Yachty, or Lil Pump and 6ix9ine say nigga a lot, well, did you ever really stop to think, hey, part of their DNA within their blood is actually being black? From what I explained. But for some reason here in the U.S., we don't seem to see that. And that's why there's so much tension between both of the race like that. There really is. Especially me being half Italian, really came, first, I know a lot of people think Italians are racist. Or not. That's something that Hollywood portrayed, and it's false. If that was the case, then, the mobster years from the 30s, especially the early years before World War II, in the middle of World War II, the end of World War II, going into this, all throughout, the 50s, 60s, and 70s, especially in places like Chicago and New York. They had a lot of the people from the ghettos, working for them. Now, you couldn't be part of the family because, yes, your bloodline does have to trace back to the old country, which is Italy. So, no, Italians are not racist. Because, believe it or not, one thing in history you don't hear about is the brutality and the racism and the slavery that Italians had to go through. The same with Native Americans, Africans, Asians, and even, Latinos. So we know how it feels to be in that predicament. So we know how that feels. And then the white man came along and wanted to steal. And they did, and they stole from the Italian community, the mobster community. And that's why you see a lot of these, mobster films, mobster games, really, with white people in them. Because when people think mafia, they think white people. It's not that. And so what I just explained is being a culture vulture. And also everything what the word culture means as well. It has mainly to do with being stripped of your way of living, community, people, survival, cropping, education, and religion. And then having it be thrown into the terms of fashion and money and false idols, and as making false prophets or false gods, and making these leaders think that they are. So what I explained to you, which was the true meaning of the word culture, and why we should stop throwing it around, is why we should stop throwing the word culture around in hip-hop. Hip-hop is not a culture. Hip-hop is a brand, is a trend, and a fad. That's all it is. It ain't nothing else. So hopefully you guys who watch this video got a sense of learning, who got a sense of the difference and where I come from. Because, again, yes, I'm an artist, but even I know the difference. So, that's what hip hop is, and what culture is. But even us in the hip hop world, we're guilty of being culture vultures too. I'm not gonna leave that out. We're guilty of it. Yeah. Look at how we stole stuff from the white men, the white community, when it comes to doing the country music. What Thug did, or how everyone likes to throw themselves, oh, well, I'm not a rapper, I'm a rocker, I'm a pop singer. Well, the fashion of rock came from 70s, 80s, and then you had the emo gothic era in the 90s in terms of punk music, especially with fashion. That stuff been around before hip hop and rap existed. So we decided to culture vault our way in. So yeah, we're guilty of it too. Yeah, we're guilty of it. Especially when it comes to the religion part, when nowadays everyone wants to say they're Satan worshippers. Satan worship has something to actually do with the religion of that. So yeah, we're culture vultures too, So yeah, hopefully everyone got a sense and a peace of mind from this video. I'm out.